Karibuni, welcome tuelimishwe kwa maswala ya jamii, tuchunguze sana mbalimbali, tujuzwe juu ya matukio ya kila pembe, tuwapa burudani kwa familia nzima.
Welcome to the Men's Den. My name is Lekuyani Eli, and tonight kumewaka moto because men have issues to address, and these are issues concerning skeletons in the closet. To start us off, we have James Mwathi all the way in Nairobi, Kenya. Good evening, sir, and how are you?
I'm well, Eli. Good evening.
Good evening to you. Wewe kuna skeletons?
Kuna mtu hana? I think that's an important question, because it depends on what skeletons mean. But that's an interesting question. Why do you want to catch me off guard on air?
Well, just in case we are playing Saints tonight, let's just invite Shuchi Lumumba. Good evening, sir, and how are you tonight?
I'm very well, sir. How are you? James is dressed so expensively, Bana. He looks like he's gelling his money.
I think Jamal's been paid. He's the only one who's received his paycheck.
I can already beg his jacket in a few hundreds of dollars, man. But well, I'm fine, thank you, and I hope everybody else is fine. Skeletons in the closet it is.
Yes. And for those who are joining us for the very, very first time, this is the Men's Den, and we happen to take these shows every single Tuesday right here on TheArtsinHeart. And tonight we are addressing the issue of question to the audience. Would you forgive her if you learned of undeclared truth about her past? You know, gentlemen, every single time we start having relationships, the most things we discuss, especially because the blood is high on dopamine, we discuss, I love you, how long will this take, I can't wait to see you. But we forget the most fundamental questions. And I was told, one question you must not ask is the body count, because the number is always 3. But do we forget to ask other important questions, James?
I think this is a very complicated topic that you bring on board, because again, if I was to ask what is the foundation of love, if I was to use that word, if two people are coming together and they are hoping to live the rest of their lives with them together, what is the foundation? You see, I know many people crucify me, but I usually tell people, love alone can't sustain you. This feeling called love can't sustain a union, a marriage, a partnership, whatever you want to call it. There has to be something else. There has to be some basis. And if we have either dishonesty or partial disclosure with a partner who you expect to live the rest of your life with, what happens when the skeletons come out of the closet? Because again, now life has a way of ensuring that nothing stays in the dark forever. So when light is shone upon these skeletons, where does that leave this union?
Yeah.
So this is a very complicated topic in my opinion, because again, different people will have or will think not to disclose or to partially disclose stuff for various reasons. Ultimately, they think it's for the best of them both, but is it? That's the question that I leave you with.
Shuchi, before we dive in, give us your opening remarks on this issue.
You did not tell me about it. You lied about it. These are two different statements that try to address this. You did not tell me about it means I, for some reason, expected you to volunteer the information, or like James puts it, to disclose the information. You did not. That's a hazy place to build your ground, because then the other party has the right to say you did not ask, or I did not think it was important, or I, they can easily find reasons to pull that. It is different when you are approaching it from a solid point of you lied about this. So then it becomes very, very heavy in the former analogy, because then you are dealing with a situation where you are using your own parameters to decide whether or not this information that you just found out, or this knowledge that you now own, was important or not. But then all said and done again, I would address it from the point of perhaps why. I have my own reasons as to why I would have a few reservations uh, and a few slack that I would cut this person for not disclosing. But then again, I think as we go on in, we might just talk into it and get around it.
Okay, as we try to get around it, the question we are asking tonight is, would you forgive her if you learned of undeclared truth about her past? And this question can apply on both aspects. Would you forgive him if you learned of undeclared truth about her past? As I said, let's not talk about body count, because it's been said it's 3, and more than that is never disclosed. I want to dive into something that you can never hide, and most likely we can hide pregnancy until the baby is there. But once the baby is there, James, it will be naive of me to say I don't have a child, especially if I'm a woman. But we see in a lot of cases that you go to I mean, you're dating this lady, and once you're dating, everything is merry, and they tell you they have never had the feeling of labor pains or anything. And then once you go to their village after so many years and you want to do those traditional rites, there's this child that comes and tells you, Uncle, mami aliniambia ataniletea ABCD and they forget. Umeniletea. And you're sitting there wondering, who is mommy, who is uncle? You are the uncle, and the lady that you're coming with is mommy. And the boy is about 7, 8, 10 years old. And then you're like, you never told me this. Would you proceed on with the arrangement, James?
Oh boy. Number one, all these little lies, and I'm not saying hiding a child is little, but I'm coming from a presupposition that there are very many things that we either not disclose or partially disclose and all that. Mm-hmm. We do them because either we are ashamed of them or we are insecure. Now, if I was to address the question that we want to address today, would you forgive? I would start by saying it would depend on the magnitude and how whatever has been hidden would impact on both our lives later on or going forward. Okay? Mm-hmm. So how you bring a specific situation where a lady has hidden a child, and to all the men out there, I will say, run, run, run. Run away, run, flee. Why do I say this? Now, if this is a child of your womb and you've hidden him, her, back in the village or wherever, then what does it tell of your emotional intelligence? What does it tell of your securities and insecurities? What does it tell of how you handle tough situations? Because yes, you'll hide that, but even if it never comes out, it speaks volumes to how you handle things. And then something else will come up and you'll be unable to handle it, and it will affect negatively, that is, the both of you. So from there, and I don't know, I think we've become too open a society that we have every side you turn, there is a single parent, either a man or a woman. It's become actually normal to some extent. In this day and age, somebody who hides a child, there is a bigger problem than the child with that person in particular. Yeah. So I would, that is a complete no. That is a deal breaker. That is a deal breaker.
Shuchi, is this a deal breaker for you, or could we find reasons or probably excuses towards such?
there are lots of. I'm going to pick this from slightly far, and I was having a discussion with friends the other day, and I think the problem I have with this world or the current approach to things is how we want to look rational at everything, how we want to appear understanding at all things, how you want to. Don't forget, we have things that we call preferences in this world. And I'm going to answer this question first the way I would look at it. And then, secondly, I'm going to try and get into the other person's perspective of things. Personally, I have a preference. Uh, and preferences don't mean that you would choose one in the place of another. Preferences could just mean that you'd choose one over another if you had the two options. So this is what I'm going to tell you. First of all, and this is going to sound so bad, but then again, it's preference, and you can't harm me anywhere for it. I would choose a lady who has no child over one who has a child, even though I personally have a child, and I'm not in a union of a marriage. And you know why I understand this? Because I also know that it's also been a reason for the people that I have interacted with here and there to want to walk away from me. Because the knowledge that I have a child hits people differently. And most people who are not in this situation are so easy to try and tackle it from afar because it's easy to see what is right to do. But once you are in this situation, you understand it is a very complicated situation, especially when you want to project it because you're looking at a possibility of, okay, I might not end up with my child's mother. That means there's a possibility in the future that my child's mother is going to end up with another. Then there's how this is going to play in my presence and my interest. I have a friend who had a baby daddy and they were co-parenting so well. And then she gets into a union with another gentleman, and the guy tells her, now listen, I want you to cut links with the baby daddy. The guy was providing for medical cover, education, and like, I'm going to take care of this. Now tell this guy to take a step back. And what did the child's dad do? He actually took a step back. It did not go into a year, and the guy was now behaving differently. He doesn't want to cater for the child. And once they found one of their own, now it became a problem because now you could see the bias. The guy was taking care of his child a lot more than the other child. So, well, I personally, like James, would run away if you don't tell me such information because this is very cardinal. And I think for me, in appreciation, and I never take it offensively or anything. People try to be rational around it, I tell you, and I think it's wrong. I respect anyone who would come to me upfront and tell me, you know what? I feel there's a complication with the fact that you are a dad and I am not comfortable in this sort of a space, and then go away right from the word go. It sets me free. But then that also depends on my disclosure in good time. Because I think by the time you realize that I am a musician, by the time you realize that this and that is my passion, you will also realize that I am a father. It comes in the very elementary stages of my interaction. Is it a what? Yeah, exactly. It is a package because I think I don't know how to put this, but I think I have a son that I so much love that the possibility that he has to be the reason as to why I have to make other choices does not exist, and I take that away instantly. But then again, now I'm going to come back to James' point. Sorry for taking this a little round in circles, but there's also the question of sure, James.
I'm wondering whether to speak on what you've just said before you go on, because I feel, you see, what you're saying is you are comfortable, and this is where I was coming from. You're comfortable with the fact that you are a father and you're not with the mother. Okay.
Then it's the wrong time to interrupt. It's the wrong time to interrupt. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. So sometimes now I look out there and I will not lie to you. And I will say this very, very confidently. We men, not women, tend to get away with it. It's an okay thing. It's an okay thing. But I've realized over time that it affects the females a lot more. And some of these women suffer and they try to hide some of this information. I'm not justifying it at all. I wouldn't take it kindly, but they try to hide it in the quest to try and get something going, because you realize this is a lady who will tell you that they've been with almost 5 consecutive relationships that looks like we're looming into something solid. And at the mention of a child, the guy would just disappear. Things would just happen, and all of a sudden it just becomes so. At some point, until they are what James say, until they have appreciated that fruit of their home and placed them as a proper priority, then every person that they will come across, they will be trying to make these, playing cautious around this information. I don't know if this is something I should disclose. Is this something I want to put out there? Might it mean then that this is going to end? But then again, this is the point I agree with James. You really have to get to a level of comfort with this information and this situation. Because then again, one thing I noticed, once you are solid about this, you attract the right people so instantly. So instantly. Yes. James, exactly. You can come.
No, I think you capture what I was trying to bring, because I have come across. Do I have an echo?
Proceed. I think I've sorted it out. Somebody was doing it on our end, but it's okay.
No, I'm saying I've come across women who have children, and they tell you upfront that I am a package. That's where that term I was asking you about came from. Yeah. Sorry, I have a cold. They tell you, you want me, I do not come single. But for you to reach that level, you have to be so mature about it. You have to have accepted it within yourself, and you have to be comfortable in your own skin. Now, the problem with the inverse is the minute you try to hide, and there's a relationship that you're trying to take forward into the future, into long term, believe you me, it will come out. And if it comes out, the other party feels cheated. The other party feels disrespected. There is so much negativity that comes with it. They feel duped. They feel the relationship is based on quicksand. It's lies. Yeah. And once that now comes on the ground, my friend, you have no standing ground. I don't know if Ellie will allow me to bring in another scenario that I see.
Before we do that, James, before we do that scenario, please hold your thoughts and kindly make sure you contribute on the same once we are back on that trail. Let me just quickly go to the comment section, and everybody that is watching us, this is the Men's Den. Tonight we are having the 3 gentlemen here discussing matters, skeletons in the closet. Those undeclared truths that you were never told, especially if it's a child. Would you forgive if you learned this at the last minute when you're just about to say I do? We have Lamek who says, I'm streaming live. Thank you so much. That is Lamek. And we have Random Williams who says equally streaming live. And we have Makomere, one of the Men's Den gentleman. He says, full disclosure is a must. That is where the journey starts. Okay, we have Nathan says, yes, he will definitely disclose. And then we have Jakita who says, there is a tiny line between not disclosing and lying. So what is it, or Ari, what are the differences between these two? I think Ashuchi brought up that point. You better come back and salvage that situation. We have a Boniface Vitab, our #1 YouTube page, rather channel fan, who says, swala kizushi kwa kweli. Yani swala tatanishi. Mwalimu Eshuchi ataniambia maneno mengine ama matawe yanayoambatana na neno kama hili. Ruth Erondanga anasema, nice topic. Thank you so much. We have Onyango Juma who says, I will disclose. That is a yes from him. We have Sila who says, habari zenyu mzuri sana. Mzuri sana Sila. Again, Let me listen to the men. Yes, because there's a lot of wisdom coming through tonight. We have again Eshuchi Chitere Victor. Hii ni majina ya nyumbani nini? Naona Eshuchi amefurahi, amekubaliana. Says it depends on how damaging the skeleton from the closet is. Tumehama. Yes, tumehamia YouTube. So kindly, Mr. Eshuchi, move over to our YouTube channel. That is the Arts in Heart official on our YouTube channel. And we have again, let me just read this one. But if the lady was raped when she was young, alafu her parents took the role of taking care of the child, and they tell the girl they will parent the child because it's not your fault. Okay, we are now looking for reasons or excuses. We'll find out. We found out. The point here is, did you disclose? Okay. Scenes from the past. Frida Nguku says, some pasts are better left rare unless they are affecting our current or future in a way, or you are asked about them specifically. Okay. William says, hii maneno ni ngumu sana. Hata comment. For now, hata comment. And we have Ivan Haven who says, hey, I am here, Eli. Karibu sana. And for those who are wondering, watu wa YouTube wako wapi? Tuko kabisa. The handle is, as you see it on your screen, the Arts in Hearts official. So just type in one name, move over so that you can make one big family in the YouTube channel. Meanwhile, let's take a quick break, and when we are back, we continue with the discussion with the Eshuchi Lumumba and, of course, James Mwapi. And of course, we are turning 1 year old as ArtsinHeart, and we're more than excited to just come and celebrate together the journey that it has been. So we are inviting you on the 5th of February, rather. Oh la la, when did February come in? Yes, we'll be taking a break, but we'll tell you about that. Why February? But yes, for now, let's all come together and celebrate the journey we've taken as ArtsinHeart. And on the 5th of November, we are having a live show with all our hosts, one central place. How about that? But for now, let's discuss about skeletons in the closet. James.
Mimi nafikiria kudiscuss bash ni better.
We save it for another time.
Being an official invite. Anyway, I don't know. I've lost track because I wanted to respond to two people. Frida, who said whatever happened in the past should be left in the past, except where it would affect the present and the future. And I agree. I think that's what we're in agreement on. Yeah, definitely. There's a concept that I hold that says some disclosure will cause more harm than others. There are some things that you might want to disclose, but rather than facilitate healing, causes more harm than others, than his current state. And you find that if you learn from all those mistakes and you move on, it's better left at that. But then I think the topic on the table today is these living skeletons. Skeletons, unless you address, tomorrow they'll be there, and the following day they'll be there, and
Yeah.
So I agree with her. There are some that can be left in the past, but there are some that just need to be addressed. I can't remember the other viewer, but I will, as we go along, I will come back to it.
They
But
asked the thin line within
no,
withholding, or rather, not. Yeah, that is for Ishuti
No,
to
I
come
think
through.
that
I
was
think
very
the viewer that James, I think the viewer that James is talking about is this one who said what happened if the girl was raped and then
yes,
the
yes,
parents
yes,
took up the child. Yeah.
yes.
So James, you
Thank
can
you.
go on.
Because that's deep for me. Again, because of what I do. That's a deep conversation for me. You see, when such a traumatic event happens that involved sexual practice, even though forced, it is of even more importance that you let your partner know, because there is likelihood that the pain and the trauma was repressed. So the child was taken by your parents and they were brought up, and you repressed the pain and the trauma, and everything seems to be going on well until you meet this partner and you're now in the process of repeating the act. It is bound to come up. So that is
Mhm.
even more important that it's spoken about. And it goes in line with what just before the break I wanted to introduce, because it's another huge skeleton that I'm seeing lately. Lately, there's been an explosion, if I was to say so, of mental disorders. And the question that I ask most people is, if you knew that you had a mental disorder or you are genetically predisposed to a mental disorder, would you disclose to your partner? So you know that you have randomly, for example, bipolar mood disorder,
Mhm.
and you're you're getting into a union with this beautiful lady or handsome gentleman, and everything is going perfectly. Would you disclose? Again, this has become a deal breaker to many couples, because it
Mhm.
can go either way. It can go. I would want to hear people's opinions, and also probably my panelists' opinion on that.
Well, I will hold on to Eshuchi for a moment. The only man that understands predisposition by its own inside and outside happens to be Gilbert Makomere. And what a better time for him to come in and give us that aspect. Good evening, sir.
Waiting for my question.
Good,
For my question.
good evening. Good evening, guys. Sorry, I came in late, but I had to be here. This topic is so pertinent that we need to discuss it and dispense it to the maximum level. I would say I was following in. I was traveling, but I was following in, and I'm happy with what guys have said. My comments are there, and they're very clear. Full disclosure is a must. As James said about mental health, there are traumas we go through. More so for most African kids, we have childhood traumas that we don't get closure with them when we are growing up. So they kind of disturb our adjustment to adulthood. And some of them, we just don't know the process of handling them, of dealing with them. And that's why you say such things that happen. You find when you are discussing stages of development, those crises we went through when you are young. How do you get to handle them when you are now moving into adulthood? There are things that happen into your past, like when someone talked about a lady who was raped, and you're moving into a relationship and you don't know how to address that issue. For me, I would say no one can force you to bring what is in you. It is for your safety, as they have said, that you let it out. But when you are not ready, please don't just spill out because of love. As James said, love is not everything. There is more to love. So many people fail to deal with themselves first before they move in another relationship. So when you're moving to another relationship and you're spilling things there when you're not ready, it might backfire on you and it might injure you more. So let us seek to handle our internal issues first. If you are not comfortable early discussing your past, you are not ready to take on someone else.
But you see, that's the problem, Gilbert, and I want us to really not divert from the main issue, which is there is a child involved, and we are saying you cannot partake a relationship if you've not dealt with your past. So when is it the right time to disclose, by the way, Mr. ABCD, I'm in love with you, and there is this package that you're supposed to be aware of? Especially, this is not a young child. We are talking about anything between the age of 7 to 10. Somebody that can communicate and identify with you as the parent. When is the right time, Gilbert?
Early, as Eshuchi said, at the point you are discovering he's a musician, you must discover he has a son. There are things that are
that is true. That is true. Allow me to interject. That is true. And you are referring, for example, to Eshuchi, and I want us to be very clear. If it's a man, most of the time, I think men come out and say, I have a child here, I have a child there, most of the time. But I'm talking about this lady you're in love with, and for various reasons, you have courted, you've entered all those types of classes of courtship until the point of now you two want to settle together, and you have no idea that they have a child.
Early in
that you're not aware.
Early in stages of relationship, there is dating. Dating is where you discover some pertinent information about someone. You accept if you want to make a step with this person and start solidifying them in your life as a partner. Now that is courtship. If you didn't disclose some information before I decide if I want to, because that is the information supposed to come out when you're dating. Someone is supposed to know I have a kid. Even if you're not staying with them, I have a kid, this is the age, I have parents, I have sisters. That is the information I'm looking from you. Before I decide, do I really want to be with this person? I start now courting you. I have courted you, I'm wedding to marriage, and then that's the time you're coming to tell me you have a kid. What else have you hidden from me?
Not only tell you, see, telling it's more interesting. Allow me, James. Telling is one thing. This is you discover by yourself that apparently this beautiful lady who's told you they have never known anything called labor pains actually has a child. Ruth Erondanga says this. Nyinyi machali nowadays always come up with difficult conditions. Like, I don't want a lady who has children or a virgin for that matter. Deep inside, I know I'm not. So I will try to please you at that moment because I don't want to lose you. Nakupenda Allah. Baadaye, we will cross the bridge. Let's start with the Shuchi. I know James is not happy. Shuchi, go ahead, sir.
So now, Ellie, when you mute me, you have to be the one to unmute me. Yeah, you can't be muting me and then.
I did so, sir. I did so. I did so.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I seriously agree with Gilbert. And as he was explaining this, I was just looking at a research analogy. If you need to carry out a research and you need data for your research, and then at the end of the research, you're supposed to now make conclusive judgments based on, the samples that you have. Then you are at the final stage of your research and you have all the samples. Then all of a sudden you discover there's one very important sample that has not been here all along. That research, that is a project that is done. You spoil the whole project. So I think when it gets to that level, and I think Ellie, I don't know why I feel Ellie is so grave on this part of you discovering in the end. If I want to think there's a lot of issues to be worried about if I would be discovering that someone I'm dating has a child at the point where I'm about to say I do. That is too far. That is too far into it. So I am thinking, well, we have like James says and like Gilbert also echoed, I think our society, and I think by now I love approaching solutions from the cause point of view. We have a society that is so easy to stigmatize some of these things. And I like that James has even brought in the aspect of mental issues. The reason we even don't talk about things like mental issues, someone is bipolar, someone has these erratic reactions here and there, and they're not able to disclose it, is because at the point of upbringing, you'd find them behaving like this, and people would be talking, and they would not be talking so well about it. So instead of helping this child, for that matter, supposedly, you are stigmatizing them for a situation that is well beyond their control. So with time, they learn to live with a condition, or rather, they are conditioned to treat this sort of as a disability and something that is not good. So then their need to actually disclose or be who they are is actually eclipsed by the societal expectations of the same. And so you might end up with people who actually have all the genuine reasons to want to bring this out. But because of, like I just said, because of the past, sometimes it's even a child who ended their education. It's even a child who really, really brought issues with the family. You even find this that you're dealing with someone who has a child who was the beginning of the end of her education. This was the beginning of her quarrel with her parents and all that. And it just ended there. And so now you want to wonder why this person is not disclosing this. They've been through enough, sorry, for lack of a better word, shit because of this, that it's not that obvious information for them to let out. Now, in retrospect, on the same thing, I feel it is your responsibility to create a comfortable environment. And I think I've said in one of our episodes before, we were talking about deadbeat dads, and I was saying that we don't have deadbeat dads. Our ladies, and this one I'll be very firm around, our women sometimes create deadbeat dads because we have amazing men out there, but you decide that, you know what, this man whose inconsistency I have seen, this man who, you will not sire a child with a man today, and then the man becomes irresponsible, and there are things that you did not see. Because a man who is irresponsible, you'll see them at the level that Gilbert is talking about, at the friendship level, at the at the dating stage. You will see all these inconsistencies. And what I'm saying is, if you are dating the right man, if you feel you are in the right space with the kind of a person that you are in, if the bonds that you are creating between yourselves are real, if you're having conversations that are candid, and you are tackling this as a situation where we are ending up together, so we are doing all it takes to end up together, that is information you'll disclose very seamlessly, because then the environment will be there. If you are hesitating to disclose such information, there's a problem with the person you're dating, and there's a problem with you as a personality.
Wow, the problems all over. James, you want to respond to Eshuchi, or you want to quickly respond to the comment from the viewer? James, if you can, go ahead.
I'm not sure where I'm approaching this from, but for me, it's very simple. If you are discovering, like using now your words, you're the one who is discovering that a lady you've been dating for whatever period has a child, at the point where some serious negotiations are happening, then you're negotiating for the wrong person because you do not know this person. They have been wearing a mask all along, and you think you're in love with one person, but what you see is not what you get. It's that simple, yeah. Because, for example, give it maybe even 6 months. In 6 months, if you're in a intimate relationship that might lead, that both parties think might lead into a long-term relationship, there are those parameters that have to be discussed. What are your beliefs? What is your future? What are you looking at long-term? What are your goals? Yeah. So if you've discussed all these and you're already at the point of now you're involving other family parties, because now you've decided now we need to be recognized as a unit, as one unit, and then that is the time you're discovering this. Ay, bro, hapo hapana. No, there is something. But that's on one angle. On the other angle, again, to respond to the viewer, I think this is driven by fear. This is driven by fear. You've already assumed that if you put on the table from early on that you have a child, you will be rejected. And like Asuchi said, it might be because of societal expectations and past experiences. But you see, this is one thing that will come out eventually. In fact, on a personal note, I would respect you more if from the onset you let me know this is me, you're getting, but there is another. So let me decide, do I want to initiate this knowing that I'll be responsible for another, rather than enter into this relationship with you thinking it is exclusively me and you. And then when we have walked miles, that's when I'm realizing, oops, we need to retrace our steps because we forgot someone there. No. And that one for me is a complete no.
A complete no, you say. Thank you so much, James. And let's shift a little bit the gears. And I would like to start there. Again, there's a tiny line between disclosing and lying. Gilbert.
Let me pick it up, because I think I'd alluded to it at one point. Yeah. I think it will depend on, number one, Suchi clearly said, lying is outright. It has been asked, yeah, and you have given information contrary to the truth. That is outright lying. But then again, even when looking at that, I would be more concerned on what is the impact later on in life in between the two of you. Yeah. Because, for example, if you're lying or you are omitted to bring to the attention of your partner that one day in high school when you had gone for drama festival, some guy kissed you. That's neither here nor there. You know, it doesn't matter. So that's why I'm saying it's the magnitude that also matters. Yeah. But lying is outright rejecting, and it's even worse than omission. That would be my take on that. And you should, Ellie, you should invite African Man so that we can hear his wisdom on this thing.
African Man has decided to take leave on this, but let's allow Gilbert. At least he's more sane than most of us. Gilbert, kindly.
Ellie, as James has said, lying is outright lie. We don't negotiate about lying. One thing, Ellie, I'll say, and I've said, if you can't discover safe space within yourself, that's the time you start living a lie of yourself. If you are comfortable about yourself, Ellie, no matter what you've gone through, you are ready to handle it. And a lady who knows what she has is ready to take on you the way you come. Our society has made it look like we are the one who go to shadoof these ladies and bring them to us by force. Without forgetting, they are human beings in their own skin. They have a right to say, yes, I'm signing for this. No, I'm not going with this. So when you talk about discovery, my question will be, if you are in a relationship of two people, consenting adults who know what they want, why are you investigating the other person? I think it should come from them. You not in at the point, Ellie, you start also investigating this other person. You're lying to yourself. You are not in a relationship. You are in an investigation. Run. Because if you are comfortable for yourself, Ellie, you don't need to look at her back. You need to look at her face and let her speak up. But when you are going behind her back, Ellie, you have insecurity issues with this lady. And if you go ahead, I'm not sure, I'm not a prophet, it will not end well.
Before Eli comes in, because Eli has seen Gilbert, then he's gotten excited. Now he's not even giving me a chance to speak. I just said I read
Kindly
a
make
very
it,
quick.
make it clear that I'm excited because of his points.
Yeah. No, no, I wouldn't be sure about that. I wouldn't be sure about that. But well, you just have a partner. You know that you always align with Gilbert. But well, so I was reading this quick reaction from this guy Benjamin Zulu. He's not my favorite, but once in a while he hammers it in. And so he was responding to these controversy that has been around. There's someone who I think tweeted or made a Facebook comment and said the way they quit, they pretended to have quit their job for like 2 weeks. No, they said they had lost their job, so they took a leave from work and now were not going to work. And apparently, in the house, they made the wife discover, or they made the wife uh, understand or believe that they had lost their jobs. And so this guy was telling people that it only took the chick, I mean the wife, a week, and the wife was tired of him and he left. And so he was advising that if you really want to know the kind of woman you married, come home one day, take your leave from work, and pretend you've lost your job. And Benjamin's reaction to this was very spot on for me, because he said, at any given point in a union, a relationship, or whatsoever, when you feel the need to test your partner's trust in you, your partner's loyalty in you, your partner's anything else on you, just leave, just go, because you are not anywhere in a relationship. You don't need to be anywhere. So I agree with James. I mean Gilbert. The moment you the moment you feel like you want to start investigating, where in the FBI is happening, you're not a husband. You are an FBI agent. But well, back to you, Ellie. You can give me my chance back now.
Okay, let's take a break, and when we're back, we start off immediately with James' reaction.
Are we back?
Did you get to lose Ellie?
I think so. I think we've lost Ellie and and Suchi.
I think
But
we'll go on
probably,
with the show. I don't know if they'll be able to rejoin, but we can go on.
yeah, I think what we were saying, and probably that's where we wanted to come back and join from. And this is something that I see that was there a bit previously, but we are slowly coming out of that shell because of the empowerment of the woman. There has been an acceptability that there are women out there who will go and have children, and for one reason or the other, the baby daddy, quote unquote, a term that my good friend who is not here today does not like, Mr. Kanman, the baby daddy is no longer there. More of our women are coming out and owning that, yes, I am a mother, and they're proud of it. So when you meet, if you meet such a woman who is empowered and is comfortable enough to talk about it, in fact, she's attractive because she already portrays the ability to take care of a child. And in any man's mind, one of the things that you look for when you're going into a union, apart from a partnership, is that ability for a woman to take care of the home and take care of children. So unlike what most women think, it is a strength. So if they would be able to disclose, like we were talking about, we were saying about Esuchi, it's a package. It's one of the early things that you talk about. Most men have no problem in this day and age. Most men have no problem. The problem comes when this information is hidden. That is where the man, again, remember we've talked about the ego so often in our programs. Yeah. So the man feels crushed. The man feels they have been taken for a ride. The man feels all this is a lie. So it is more harmful to the lady when you do not disclose than disclosing from the word go.
Gilbert, before we take it to Eshuchi, and then we take this to another little level of 5 minutes of chit chat here and there. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Yeah, I agree. And the main reason, even why I came in and I was late, I wanted to address the issue of us having to discover ourselves. Very, very important. That is what is hurting many relationships now. You see the closets we are talking about?
Yeah.
People don't know how to handle themselves. People don't know what they should do. They have things that are eating them inside. They are willing even to go for another relationship, but they don't know what they're supposed to do so that they are safe for themselves. Eddie, I must love myself first before someone else can see love in me. I cannot depend. I cannot create codependency on someone else that someone else is bringing happiness in me. Someone else is bringing love in me. No, I must be able to discover that I love myself. I can be able to handle myself as a person before I bring you on board. And when I'm bringing you on board, it must be clear. This is where it's made clear at the start of a relationship when you're dating. However hard it might be, however small it might be, Ellie, when someone lies to you at the start of a relationship, it's a clear indication this might not end well. For many people nowadays, people are looking for people who are honest, people who are truthful, however hard it is. Let me tell you, no, I don't think I can handle you with a kid. Or when someone's coming to a issue to tell you, yeah, I love you as a man, but a man with a kid and maybe baby mama dramas, I don't think I'm ready. Get my reassurance as we walk through this journey rather than lying to me and you want to get reassurance when it's very late.
Eshuchi, your word on this.
It also raises an alarm as to just how much or what lengths people would go to keep others. Because for me, the length where you have to hide the existence of a child could easily mean I do not know what else you're able to do just to cover up. And lately, I think the latest sensation on social media has been red flags. That is, those are a million red flags in one. That said and done, I will still go back to my everlasting points. We need to stop democratizing everything in this world. Where Eli will live his life like he wants, James will live his life like he wants, Gilbert will live his life like he wants, and Eshuchi. You know, these statements that are thrown right, left, and center. Oh, your life, your choice, whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, honey, blah, 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 and all that. That is where we have some of these problems because then everyone wants to justify why they were not able to do this. We should, as a society, reach to a point where we can agree that, you know what, this is wrong, this is right. Not disclosing the existence of an entire human being is wrong because these are an entire paradigm shift in the possibility of this relationship. And I think perhaps you don't have cases at hand, but I think a lot of relationships have just ended. Relationships that could be very amazing and nicely salvaged have just ended because of some of these very stupid and neglective information that you just feel, okay, you know what, I can keep these. And I also think it also shows just how temporary minded sometimes people are. Because what James said was true. Sometimes you get into relationships for the moment. Let me see what is good here. Then you dive in and you realize, you know what, this is actually a good place to be. I could make something out of this. Then by the time you want to make that move, you realize there's so much that you haven't brought on table. And now you start bargaining and just trying to suffer the possibilities of what this information would mean to this relationship. Truth right from the word go. I agree.
One thing I can say before we call it a night is I'll first mute the Shuchi and then I can continue. One thing we can say before we call it a night is that truth be told, truth is very difficult. And from where I see it, I believe one thing you shouldn't be hiding is actually your children, especially to that person you want to discuss important matters when it comes to a relationship. But who am I? Because we're just here as men to discuss issues facing men. We want to take a quick break, and when we come back, we bring the man of the moment to give his closing remark, Natuite at night. Let's take a break.
Yes. Very interesting today, guys. Very interesting. Okay, well, I'm supposed to make the closing remarks, but it's very strange for me to make closing remarks on this chapter. There's only one thing that comes up. They are never closets unless you are a liar. And the most important thing is to be open up in the beginning. Our last program, we talked about courtship. Courtship is when you open up, when you say the truth, when you put the cards on the table, whether you have kids, whether you are rude in class, whether you didn't go to university, that's the time to bring all those things on the table. But I understand some things may be sensitive. The only thing to weigh is your history, some things in your past gonna affect your relationship now or not? If it's gonna affect it that you should have known, then it's important to have known. Then it's important to say it. So to make them not be skeletons in the closet, open up in courtship. And I think that's the most thing you have to do. Most of us try to be fake on dates. Most of us try to create impressions. It's nice to make a good impression in the beginning, but hiding important stuff away is nothing to do with making a good impression. It's only postponing a problem. So to avoid having so many skeletons in the closet, use the time of courtship to come open. Better you tell somebody, listen, I used to be an alcoholic. I went to the clinic. Now I'm okay. Then you get it from there. But these people will come behind it later. Maybe that auntie who was there will come and say it sometime on a family gathering. Then the whole thing will be blown up. So to avoid them being skeletons, use the courtship to really say the truth. And of course, you can always, the trick is you can always turn your bad past into a good one because you have learned something. I see my friend Ruth asking if I was a prostitute before and I'm saved now, should I say it? If you can stand in church and try to confess and say, I used to be a thief, now I'm saved, why don't you tell your boyfriend I used to be a prostitute and now I'm saved? So use the courtship to make things right. That's why people court. That's why people come to learn each other, because you may be hiding skeletons, but the other one has got even worse skeletons than yours. But then because they are open, when you come later, you'll be looked as a liar, because there's a very thin line between hiding information and lying. That's where the thin line is. So use courtship to make things open. You better tell somebody the truth. They leave you in courtship or go ahead, get children, get married, mother-in-laws be involved, father-in-laws be involved, brother-in-laws be involved, and then the truth comes up. So to avoid it being skeletons, please use the time in courtship to share at least those things you mean that they are sensitive. And if you get the right people, they really resonate with you, and they will understand why you're telling them, because it is, I mean, if you can confess to the pastor, why not tell your future husband or your future girlfriend? So for me, my conclusion is, let it not be skeletons, but let it be the topics to discuss when you're quoting. That's my end.
Definitely. What a way to conclude. James, you want to give a rejoinder? Because I'm going to give everybody a minute or so. I know we're out of time, but let's start with you, James.
I stand at no. We
It's
said
okay, James.
early,
Proceed, James.
No, I was saying I drink from the fountain of wisdom of the African man. But if we go with a lie, let's assume you lied, and like using the words that you love, you discover when you're doing the final rites into a union, and maybe even the man agrees to take you in plus your child. You've sown the seed of distrust. That marriage, that union starts with a crack in it. And you have taught the man, now I'm addressing the woman, you have given license to the man to do as they wish. They will go out and get other women on your face. They will go out and sire other children on your face. They will go out and do all sorts of things, and you will not have any say. Again, it's a choice. Those are my parting shots.
Gilbert Makomere.
As I said, my parting shot, James had alluded to it. Let us not allow the society to push us into protecting these clauses that are very pertinent to your significant other. That is the most important person to you, because you leave your parents, you leave your sisters, and live with this person. I always ask myself, if I can trust someone to sleep besides me, na nilale na nimwache akiwa awake, na niko sure nitaamka nikijipata hapo, then ni closet gani namficha? Because this person can decide kuchemsha maji aninyerify you.
Okay, nyerify you could be the word. Shuchi Lumumba, your closing remarks, sir?
I already gave my closing remarks before the African man came in, but my closing my remarks here would be a quote from the same African man. He said, if you have closet, you have skeletons in the closet, it means you are a liar.
Wow. Gentlemen, this is it for this week. We want to say we couldn't exhaust everything, and African man decided to take his further studies. So I hope next time he comes back, he'll be a grandfather so that he can give us grandfather studies and what he got out of it. Remember, it's a week with a lot of things happening here and there. And tomorrow we have the ladies who will be discussing about, oops, kwa nini kesho? I don't know what happened in their kesho, but we'll find out tomorrow as we discuss much and more right here on Art in Heart. Remember, we all lie. As we lie, let's just find out what liars say, and then we call it a night, okay?
Yes, hello sir.
Hello?
Nimefikisha target.
Vincent. Uko sure?
Yeah, nimefikisha 5 and 3 have confirmed. 2 wamesema niwaone kesho, they prefer not working on phone. Inaeleweka, so kesho nitawaamkia.
Hapo ni sawa. Sawa, wenda home. Sitaki ushikwe na curfew.
Okay sir, thank you so much. Before we go, kwa nauliza sasa ile story ile do itakuwaje?
Acha tutaongea kesho.
Okay, kimi niko kavu sana kesho
Vincent,
tafadhali.
kesho.
I mean like unajua sasa hello? Hello? The drug, fuck you man. Fuck you. What do I do?
We are all liars to an extent. We all thrive in lies. We take advantage of people through lies. We hurt each other because of lies. We want to grow.
Do you think it's lies, or we're giving hope and then that hope turns out to be like it's a lie, but it's it's hope?
Hata ukiandika CV yako, you lie somewhere.
Yeah.
Unajua, you're like you're looking for a job, but hapo kwa job wana need an experience sijua nini, but you have all the qualifications apart from that one bit. So we're just exposing the lies that are out there. Even the good people are lying. Unajua, but there's always someone who gets hurt.
Watu nyang'anywa mabibi, it is there.
Yeah, it is there.
People go through problems, people go through heartbreak. Watoka hapa leo kwa juu, kesho uko chini. Marafiki wanakuruka, bibi these things, it is life.
So Draka, kama Vini ako broke, how does he afford all these things?
Madeni.